What's up, Culture Drive? This video is about dealing with complaining, problems issues between people, etc., and how to respond to that as a leader, as a colleague, etc. All right, this is an important topic, I think, for teams. Also, I just side note before I get into this, I know that there's nuance with this conversation. So I'm gonna speak to that a little bit at the end of this before people get all up in arms about I can find an example where this doesn't make sense. I'm like, yes, I hear you, I get it. But here's what I wanna say. It's an important skill and tool culturally inside an organization and a team, and also for leaders to think about when somebody is coming to you and complaining about somebody else, right? They have a problem or they have an issue with somebody else. I think that the first response for us, especially as leaders, but this is true as colleagues, as friends, right? In a friend group even, that your first initial response to that is to let that person feel safe and listened to and all that kind of stuff. But the first response isn't to solve it for that person. I think it should be to help them formulate the conversation, to take that back and have that with the person who is the source of this issue. It's a really important tool and skill and also mindset and behavioral norm for teams to get into the habit of, if I have an issue with this person right here, I try to solve it and address it and deal with it with that person right there. When we don't have that as part of our culture inside an organization, what happens, there's a couple different pieces of that suck. First of all, leaders end up having to put out fires between people where it's if people had the skills and capacity to solve these issues themselves, leaders wouldn't have to intervene and come in and fix these things. So giving people skills to have conversations together is really important. Also, for me as a leader, the reality about situations like that is that if this employee has a problem with this employee and they tell their person about it, HR or their leader, and then it has to be addressed, this person is going to know that this person told on them or brought it up, right? At some point, if we're gonna deal with this, that person's gonna know. So the idea that it's a secret is it's not gonna be able to not be addressed and solved and talked about and resolved unless this person knows that happened. So because that's already the case, the best thing for leaders to do, right, is to help that person be hey, let me help you formulate the conversation of how to bring this up to this person, how to resolve it with that person. And I think as a leader, it's important to not be go sort it out with them, don't bother me with this. If I'm your leader and I'm having that conversation with you, I'm let's talk about how to formulate that conversation. Let's talk about how you can frame that up. If you don't have any success with trying to resolve it with them, come back to me. I'm here as a support, whether I'm an HR partner or I'm somebody's leader. I don't want to just abandon them because, right, they may not have very high skills in resolving that conflict with somebody else. It may not go well with the other person, and I may need to step in and help as a supporting role, which is totally fine. But I want to empower that person to be able to go and try to do that themselves first. This is also why leaders and any human, the more skilled that you are in resolving conflict, the more that you can help that person be successful. I have a lot of skills and tools that I can impart on someone else to help them. Here's how to frame up that conversation. Here's what you should say, and practice with that person so that they can be successful. The more skilled you are, the more that you can help somebody else and skill them up in that area if they're an employee or a friend of yours or whatever. So I just think that's important to redirect people to be in the habit of sort this out with that person, try to resolve it with that person first before I intervene, before I get involved. This is important for a number of reasons inside cultures. We don't want to have a bunch of leaders dealing with stuff that is kind of putting out fires. If people can resolve this stuff, it saves a lot of time. It also lets get better at being able to have real conversations. It's inevitable that we have frustrations, conflict, disagreements, whatever, at work, and we have to be able to solve that ourselves and not just have to tell on someone to be able to as the only resolution for that. We need to be better at that as human beings across the board. Now, what I want to say about the nuance of that is that if somebody's going to their leader or they're going above their leader to the next leader up because they don't feel safe talking to this person or because there's some ethical or legal thing that's been violated. I'm hey, I've been sexually harassed. That's a whole different experience. An HR issue, there's some discretion here, and I understand that sometimes things are severe and solving it directly with that person is not necessary or appropriate in this conversation. So yes, I acknowledge that if I don't feel safe or my leader's done something that's unethical or bad and I'm going above them, yes, there's instances, right? There's 1,000 different shades of gray in these conversations. But the heart of what I'm saying is that for leaders to think about, let me help you go and directly solve this with this person there. That tool, that skill, that mindset, that being my automatic first thing. Even if it's a friend, if I have a friend who's coming to me complaining about another friend, I'm hey, the person you should be having this conversation with is them. I will help you talk through that and help you with some word tracks and what to say, but like that's the most, I can't really actually fix this thing for you. And I'll listen to and hear you out, but my first initial response is let me help you so that you can go and have this conversation and resolve this thing with that person directly. So I will use my tools to like have them find resolution, not just be a place to like dump and vent to me without being like, let's take action, let's make this better. So cool, that's what I wanna say. Go be awesome. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel, or you can sign up for the Culture Drop mailing list and get these emails and videos right into your inbox.